Hello again, Bob Santiago here, and I'm your host today. We're getting started with FINACS, the new core accounting module. And this is a continuation of what some people have seen before, which is there's a basic financial accounting program called FINACS Student Billing, also the Billing Plus module, and other accounting programs. And so everybody's going to be covered as far as finding out what the new solution has to offer. And that means, in a general way, the best thing about FINACS is the fact that it's integrated with the student information system and now includes the general ledger, the payables, and a lot of reporting. And so I'm going to give you a sneak peek of some of the best things that we're going to cover today in the next 30 minutes or so. And then we'll work backwards from there and show you how we got there and talk about what everything means. And so, as you know, Rediker's AdminPlus is a student information system that manages students and uh, grades and attendance and courses. And then the parents are able to log in. And here's a parent account. Previously, and with other systems, there's a disconnect between the place where parents go to get grades and also where you can get things like the bill. And so, as a parent logged into the new version of FINACS, as it is connected with the Plus portal and the Admin Plus online forums, I'm able to get to a page where I can manage all of my payments for tuition and fees. And so, this is one of the strongest aspects of this software is that it's tied right into the student information system and does not require the parent to have an additional login or a relationship with another company. That's not new though, because we've had the student billing aspect of FINACS for a while. What is a little bit new is that now we've integrated the full general ledger. And so that means that even the reports for things like your daybook and financials like your trial balance and reports like your aging report for finding out who owes you money and how much they owe you and what for, all of that is in a single place inside of finax.com. That is provided that you go ahead with the core accounting package, which is now available from Rediker and our partners at Mentisoft. Okay, so that's kind of the sneak preview, but now I want to rewind a little bit and tell you about everything that we're looking at here. So, Admin Plus is the center of our little world. It's the official system of record. It's where you got all the kids and the grades and the attendance and all of those great things. The portal is where parents are going to go to get grades. We took a peek at that. And the financial accounting product is available in two main versions, either the student billing only version, which is really focused on collecting tuition for collecting payments for tuition and fees. And it does allow for the automation of payments, and it's directly connected to the portal, like I showed you before. So, this is probably the single best way to get most of the power of the integration between the SIS and the billing system. However, everybody's been asking us because, they don't really want to manage this and also QuickBooks or also Sage or also Peachtree to have everything all in one place. And so that's why we've made the core accounting package, in other words, finax.com, now available. And this includes everything that's in the student billing module, but also things like your purchasing and accounts payable, the general ledger, all of the advanced reporting and analytics. And there's a couple things that are coming soon too, like the ability to support schools overseas that are not processing payments on US dollar denomination is very soon. And budgeting module will be something that we'll be able to show you in the near future as well. So there's a couple things that are yet to come, but we'll jump right into it here, and we'll start at the beginning, which is really has to be the student information system, because everything that we're going to show you and look at today, we can do directly from adminplus.com. That means that the new web-based version of Rediker's SIS is the best way, but not the only only way to connect your school with FINACS. So don't worry if you're still using the classic Admin Plus, that's fine. We're not going to go there today because everything we need to do we can see right inside of here. I'm going to bring up a student who is my favorite to pick on for this. That's Britt, and she's in the seventh grade. I've got all of her demographics in here, of course, and I'm showing you that because I do have one page which is specifically designed to have some information related to billing. And so some of these things get in here through a file import or maybe manual entry or batch entry. So there's a number of ways that I can basically set up all these student amounts so that they have a base tuition amount. But not all of this information gets put in here by the administrators at the school. Most of our schools nowadays are using the included and integrated Admin Plus online forms to create a tuition contract. So inside of there, you're going to ask your parents some basic questions like, how many different payments do you want to make? And Britt's dad signed up for the 3 payment plan, and that's why there's a per installment amount of $4,200. And so I can store and organize information about payments here. And, of course, I've got the contacts in here as well. So mom and dad, including her father, who is what we consider the primary sponsor. And so this is how you control who is going to have an account inside of FINACS. In the accounts receivable module, we need to basically set up customers for the purpose of billing. And this dad, David, has been set up as the primary sponsor, which means that he's the one who's responsible for paying the bill. But don't worry, we're not limited to just that one type of sponsor. You can also have a duplicate or a secondary sponsor. So we're fully capable of splitting the bill. Now, before we move on to FINACS itself, one more thing I want to show you here, which is that inside of Admin Plus, you're probably going to also want to set up a specialized view to organize some of this billing information. And so I've got a bill view just called billing, where I've got all of the different fields that are related to billing in one place. And I can use this to sort and to organize or filter. Maybe I want to see all of the different families who have basically said, yeah, we need to split the bill between 2 different payers. And so that or staff child and tuition plan, it's a good way to be able to check and verify that the data that you've collected in the Admin Plus online form is complete. And that brings us over to the FINACS side of things, because from this point on, we're going to be looking at the tool that is designed specifically for the business office at the school, and both the accounts receivable and the accounts payable. Even your business manager and CFO will be able to do everything they need to do here in one place. And this is the core module. Core accounting package. However, it does look just a little bit different if you have the student billing only piece. So if I were to um, log on here to my Rediker Institute of Technology, you'll see that this is a different school which has a license which is for student billing only. So you don't have the options for things like the accounts payable and some of the others. We're going to spend most of our time in the core accounting modules that have more capability. So let's go back into Colegio de Santiago, and first things first, all of the kids are here, of course. But now, even better than before, because there's no syncing required, we're going to have all of the kids inside of this system by default. So a single point of entry in Admin Plus that will bring in all of your kids and link them to the correct family codes. And of course, because of that, we can take a look at a kind of a family-wise display of information. So here's my Family Sponsor Central, where I can see the fact that Jeanette Adams here, who is the head of the house at one of my families, actually, let's take a look at, sorry, Eleanor Adams is responsible for the bill for 3 kids, Camille and Hank and Eric, and I can see everything from outstanding, past due, unapplied, credits, and transactions all in one place. So this is a really handy place to manage and look up, of accounts based on, the family-wise point of view. And let's bring up one of these in specific because we introduced you to Britt Klimek about a minute ago. So here's her dad, David, and he is already set up to be billed for the tuition and a few other charges as well. And so let's just pop over here into his portal. We'll go a little bit deeper than the first time when I teased you with this because clicking through into invoices, I can see all the payments, but I can pay them here as well, of course. And yeah, sure, one at a time, no problem. But check this out. I'm going to go ahead and multi-select all of the payments. So when a batch was created and I billed everybody who was on the 3 payment plan because I've got like a dozen of them at the school, and I spun up a batch of invoices for everybody all at once. It put them here in the portal, and I can go ahead and enable auto pay. When I do that, I'm going to have to tell the system which one of my pre-saved payment methods. We'll keep it set at ACH. Auto pay column now set to Y, which means that, yeah, set it and forget it. We're ready to go here from the parent point of view. He doesn't need to do anything else in order to pay the rest of these bills on time using the predetermined payment method. Every morning, the system's going to wake up and check the date. And if it matches the due date here, it's going to run the transaction. And let's see what it looks like when the family does actually realize payment. So we'll go back to a kid from the student listing. We'll find Brit and create an invoice. Now, in other demonstrations, we get into more detail about the flexible definition of charges because you are going to have complete control over this list right here. Every single one of these things has different parameters that we talk about in a different kind of a session. Not getting into it here, we'll just select one. We're going to bill her for let's hit her for a graduation fee. I'm going to go ahead and accept that charge and then save it up. And so that's all I have to do. And, of course, I can download this, I can email it out, I can print it. Maybe the parents standing right in front of me in the office, and that's all fine and good. I can give them the bill right there. But let's just go back to the parent portal here for a second. Here's the same payment page that we were looking at a minute ago for the same child. All I have to do is refresh the browser. There is no required sync in order for that charge that I just created to show up. Here it is, a graduation fee. I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to go ahead and click Pay Now. Um, I do already have 2 methods of payment that are saved within the system. We're PCI compliant, which means that the strictest type of regulations that govern the type of security are all adhered to here, and we allow the parent to save several, not just 2. I mean, they could put in several different credit cards, or maybe another bank account if needed. And all I have to do is allow this box here to remain checked. It's checked by default, save for future payments, and that means that the next time I come in, these are going to be saved up. So I don't have to enter them every single time. If I collect credit card, there's a different type of convenience fee. The school has control over that. If you want to absorb it, if you want to pass it on, if you want to augment it, all of those are possible. But ACH is always going to be the most economic way in order to cover the online transaction fees because let's face it, everybody knows, and we're used to it by now, that paying online does carry some additional fees. We'll go ahead and confirm and pay. This is really the last step in the process as far as what the parent does. I've clicked the button, and a moment later, I get a confirmation screen. So I know that my payment has gone to the online payment system. And back here in FINACS, I'll have a record of it because not only does this payment processing system receive the payment from the parent's bank account or credit card and then deposit it into the school's bank account, it's also connected with FINACS. And so if we go, here we go, payments, and I have a payment that was done today for $200. And so you do not ever have to record who paid and when they paid and how much they paid and what they were paying for. This is all recorded in the accounts receivable ledger, which is what you're seeing now, but it's in the general ledger as well. We'll get there in about a moment. For now, I want to change gears a little bit and turn our attention to the rest of the system. We've already looked at how we can manage tuition and fees and online payments. Great. What about everything else? So we've got purchasing and accounts receivable and payables and your general ledger and reports, and let's breeze through that as well. So um, the purchase process is different at almost every school we talk to, which is why we give you a lot of options here. You might decide that you want to have multiple levels of approval required in order to spend some money. And so it could be that certain people can create a requisition and then other people approve the requisition and create a purchase order. And, that's fine. We're going to create a customized list of items. So all of the things that your school products and services that you purchase over and over again will either create those for you or we will bring that list over from the classic FINACS program that you already own. So yeah, don't worry about setting everything up all over again. Your chart of accounts, your historical data, your items listing, your vendor listing, all of that comes over automatically if you're using the classic version of our accounting program. And then if you want to use it, the requisition process is here as an additional layer of approval. But we're going to skip straight to the idea of a purchase order because that's what most of our schools are actually doing is just a slightly simpler process where somebody can go in and create a purchase order, um, selecting a vendor, uh, adding items, and a cost center. Actually, you know what? Here's what I want to do. I want to buy some bread and I want to buy some milk. And when I do this, um, these are these are cafeteria items, and so I'm pointing that out because unlike some of the other really common programs out there for accounting that schools use, QuickBooks, I'm thinking of you. We give you a really flexible definition of cost centers, which makes a lot of sense if you want to be able to actually analyze the expenditures at the school based on different places where money gets spent. So in my case, I've got cost centers like elementary, high, library, middle school, cafeteria, but you will decide exactly what these are going to be. And we also allow you to determine what the different tax codes are going to be. Food, in this case, is going to be 0%, but if for some reason certain items do require sales tax, we'll allow you to manage that. I will send this off now to another person at my school because I do have this one layer of approval authority. So somebody else needs to approve it. I'm going to send it off for George, and he'll get back to me and let me know if I'm allowed to buy the milk and the bread. In the meantime, good old George Nelson here is another user profile. He has limited rights. One of the main things his job is to do here is to go in and approve purchase orders. That's his main purpose as far as this particular system goes. So if I go to one of the newer items, I can see it in here. I can go ahead and select it, and then I can approve it. And that's all I really need to do on good old George's side. So we're back over here, logged in as the accounting manager. inside of the main instance of FINACS that we were looking at a minute ago. And so, we've talked about requisitions and purchase orders. You can create those, you can approve them, and then a little bit later on downstream through this flow, we're going to have the ability to go ahead and make payments and create invoices. So that's the order of the flow from the requisition to the purchase order and now to an invoice. Here's my list of vendors. And from a list of vendors, I can see any of the purchase orders that have already been approved. For ABC Supplies, I've already got an open purchase order. So, yeah, it doesn't make sense to go ahead and do everything all over again. I'm just going to select the one that was already set up here for me. I'll go ahead and say okay to it. And there are some details here, which if I needed to, I could modify, but I'm not going to. Yeah, because stuff happens, right? Like so, maybe for some reason, in the end, not all of the items were delivered, or the price ended up being at a discount that you weren't expecting, and so that's why you would want to be able to modify this step in the process when you're creating the actual vendor invoice. Um, I do need to create a vendor invoice number. And the reason why the system doesn't do that automatically is because this number actually comes from the invoice, which is sent to you by the vendor. All right. So we've had a good look at the ability to manage those types of purchase workflow. There are a couple more steps here where you're going to manage the payment to either individual vendors or, in some cases, multiple vendors. So if you want to take all of the different outstanding invoices and set them up to pay and print checks for many of them at one time, you can do that. I've also got the ability to go to the daybook and other reports and take a look at how all of this activity is actually registering within our system. As far as the connection between the general ledger and the accounts receivable part, yeah, it's really all one system. I can see the charges that were created when I created an invoice, when I paid the invoice, and when I paid a vendor are all going to be here in the same place. In addition to that, general ledger daybook report, you can see that I've got all of the other reports that are essential and that you would expect, and I can modify those in terms of the output that they give me without needing to know any kind of fancy coding or anything like that. For the general financials, I've got a trial balance report and the other essential reports that I need when it's time to do an audit or anything like that at the school. And yeah, gosh. Oh, you know what? There's one more report here, which is really essential. And I don't think that you would all be satisfied if you didn't get a chance to see the aging report, which is that important place where you're going to go to determine really quickly who it is that owes you money and how much they owe you and what they owe you for. And I can filter this so that it's just for a specific family or specific accounts, maybe during a specific uh, uh, time period or only families owing more than a certain amount of money. But for now, we'll just keep it simple, run the report for all overdue charges across the entire school. I do have kind of a significant amount here. Total aging of $341,000, but they're divided neatly into these different buckets. I can sort them based on the document number, or, in some cases, I've heard that it's important to know, which families are overdue specifically because of tuition. So each one of these columns can be filtered and sorted. I can export to Excel or to PDF, and it just takes about a couple of seconds to do that. So here's how easily I can get the data out from this report and really all the reports inside of FINACS, the student billing side and the general ledger side as well. So that's not meant to show you everything. It's meant to give you a peek, a high level overview, and hopefully get you interested in knowing a bit more and talking to us some more about FINACS and how it connects to the Rediker platform and of course the AdminPlus Student Information System, which it's designed to tie right into seamlessly. So, as a next step, if you like what you saw today, you should contact your sales rep. There's many of us here. If you don't know who your sales rep is already, I can help you find them, but it's going to be one of these people on the list. So if one of those names sounds familiar to you, reach out, let them know that you saw the FINACS demo, and they can talk to you about the next steps, and they can help you with getting a private demonstration and even a proposal. But if you guys don't know who your account manager is, I can help you with that. Here I am. You can just email bob@rediker.com and I'll hook you up with the right person. All right. Thanks again, and we'll talk soon.